Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
Gary Franchi coming to you from the White House, where history is being made. For 50 years, every single president has warned us about Iran getting nuclear weapons. Clinton talked about it, Bush talked about it, Obama sent pallets of cash. Biden let them get closer than ever, but only one president had the guts to actually do something about it. And right now, Iran's nuclear dreams are being destroyed. Now, let me tell you why this matters to you and your family. You see, Iran isn't just some faraway problem. These are religious fanatics who chant death to America, and they mean it. They fund terrorists who want to kill Americans. They've been racing towards a nuclear bomb that could threaten every city in this country. And for decades, we've been told diplomacy will work. We've been told sanctions will stop them. We've been lied to. Every week, response emboldened them. Every failed deal brought them closer to the bomb. But now we have a commander-in-chief who understands that some threats can't be negotiated away. They've been eliminated. And what's happening right now in Operation Epic Fury isn't just about Iran. It's about showing the world that America's back and we will protect our people. And before I show you the incredible footage that's coming out of this operation, I want to talk to you about a different kind of defense. Because while our military is neutralizing threats abroad, you need to be fighting the threats that are happening right now inside your own body. Our troops are dismantling Iran's nuclear program because this president understands you don't wait for a threat to become a crisis. I take that same approach with my health, and nothing has delivered like C60 Evo. This Nobel Prize-winning molecule made lab animals live 90% longer. My brain fog gone, joint pain eliminated, my energy feels 20 years younger. It's 172 times more powerful than vitamin C. Made by the scientists in his lab in 1991, it works at the cellular level where aging actually happens. Now, you just saw what happens when America goes on offense. Now go on offense for your health. Visit c60evo.com/NNN and use code NNN for exclusive savings. Don't wait. Act now. Now, let me show you exactly what's happening and why this is the most significant military action in decades. Listen carefully. You're about to see what real American strength looks like. The footage, the briefings, the reactions. They tell a story that the mainstream media doesn't want you to fully understand. The story of a president who did what nobody else would do. And I'm going to walk you straight through it. Now, this first clip is making waves across social media. Straight talking analysis that cuts right to the heart of what makes this moment different from everything that came before. Listen to what he says about why President Trump succeeded where every other president failed and what still needs to happen. Watch.
Look, full credit to President Trump. He's the first president that had the guts to do what he's done. And the world breathes a lot easier because of that. But I think the theocratic government of Iran needs to be addressed. It's revolutionary. The Iranian Revolutionary Guards is a lot different than the army. They're two separate organizations. And as long as you got people like that in charge, with all that conditioning they've had for the last 40 plus years, I think there needs to be a complete change of government. You know, when you move from one to another, they're still radical. And it's a radical government that must be changed. Because you can always rearm. You can always try to rebuild something. But as long as they have that theocratic government, that...
Did you catch that? The first president that had the guts to do what he's done. That's the truth right there. 50 years of talk, 50 years of empty threats, and he's absolutely right about the Revolutionary Guards. This theocratic regime, they are conditioned radicals. You can destroy weapons, but as long as fanatics run the country, the threat remains. But here's where it gets really interesting. The White House, where I'm at, just laid out exactly how we are winning this thing. The White House Deputy Press Secretary Anna Kelly just gave a briefing that should make every American proud, and she breaks down the 4 military objectives of Operation Epic Fury, reveals something critical about the economic strategy that the fake news won't tell you. Watch.
The president did a few things last night. Number one, he provided an operational update on Epic Fury. And the truth is that operation scoped around those 4 goals that he originally laid out. Annihilate Iran's ballistic missiles and capacity to build more. Destroy their navy. Weaken their proxies. And ultimately destroy their ability to possess a nuclear weapon. The United States military is doing an incredible job meeting or exceeding all of our benchmarks on all of those goals. And the president also leveled with the American people. The president's been very clear from the beginning about the temporary disruptions that will occur occur as a result of Operation Epic Fury. But look, the president also has taken a number of economic actions from the beginning that helped us absolve the impact, again, of these temporary short-term disruptions. Unleashing American energy. America now produces more oil than anybody else in the world. Deregulation, tax cuts, all of these things helping us be able to bounce back, not just where we were before, but better than we were before once this operation concludes and all of our military objectives are met.
4 objectives: annihilate their ballistic missiles, destroy their navy, weaken their proxies, and eliminate their nuclear capability. And she said, we are meeting or exceeding benchmarks on all of them. But here's what I love. The president thought ahead, unleashing American energy, tax cuts, deregulation. We're producing more oil than anyone in the world. So when this wraps up, we won't just bounce back, we will come back stronger. Now, the mainstream media is actually starting to admit something that they never wanted to say. Watch this. This is Jackie Heinrich with Fox, with her morning download. And she even has to acknowledge that President Trump did exactly what analysts said needed to be done. But pay close attention to the timeline the president just announced and the warning he issued to Iran about what happens if they don't cooperate. Watch.
Good morning, guys. In some ways, this address resembled what analysts had been calling for about a month ago in a way that could have potentially built more support for the war if it had happened at the outset. The president detailed the urgency of Iran's nuclear threat. He framed the spike in energy prices as short term and the American economy is able to absorb it. And he set a timeline for what we're going to be seeing next, framing the war again as nearly over. What he did not say definitively was whether victory can be declared without extracting Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium or signal whether ground troops may be going in.
I can say tonight that we are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong. We are in this military operation so powerful, so brilliant against one of the most powerful countries for 32 days. And the country has been eviscerated and essentially is really no longer a threat.
The president said there's a new, more reasonable regime in place that the U.S. is negotiating with in Iran. But if no deal is reached, the U.S. has a list of targets to hit, including Iran's oil and energy plants, which could be hit simultaneously. Trump also delivered a call to action for Asian and European countries whose economies depend on oil that goes through the strait, telling those governments to instead buy their supply from the U.S. and build what he called delayed courage to go into the strait and take it over. Notably, Trump did not directly criticize NATO or announce any U.S. withdrawal from the alliance, which he suggested in an interview yesterday was beyond reconsideration. Finnish President Alexander Stubb, with whom the president has a very close relationship, posted ahead of the speech, spoke with real Donald Trump, POTUS, constructive discussion and exchange of ideas on NATO, Ukraine, and Iran. Problems are there to be resolved pragmatically. It is not clear if that conversation may have staved off some harsh words from the president pointed at NATO, guys.
Right. And I know the NATO General Secretary will be here next week to meet with the president. Thanks so much, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thanks.
2 to 3 weeks. That's what the president said. Hit them extremely hard, bring them back to the Stone Ages. 32 days, folks. 32 days against one of the most powerful militaries in the region, and they've been eviscerated. And that warning about hitting their oil and energy plants simultaneously, you see, that's leverage. That's negotiating from strength. And calling on Europe and Asia to buy American oil, that's putting America first. But here's a reason this had to happen now. And Kayleigh McEnany just explained it perfectly, dropping the most important analysis you'll hear today. She explains the 2 words from President Trump's address that everyone needs to understand and why Iran getting a nuclear weapon would have been catastrophic in a way that most people just don't comprehend. Watch.
The most important 2 words that President Trump said last night, and people need to understand, to your point, Brian, is nuclear shield. Okay, if Iran is able to get a nuclear weapon, they have a nuclear shield. In the same way, Kim Jong-un has a nuclear shield. Any basic international relations course tells you about mutually assured destruction. Two nuclear powers do not attack one another. And it all rests on the basis of rational actors. Iran is not rational. They are a tyrannical regime, and not just that, an ideological regime motivated by religious fanaticism. They cannot get their hands on a nuclear weapon. And President Trump is the first president to do what Bill Clinton said and George Bush said, and every president before him has said. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They cannot have a nuclear shield.
Nuclear shield. That's the key. Once a rogue nation gets nukes, you can't touch them. Look at North Korea. And here's what she nailed. Iran is not a rational actor. They're religious fanatics. Mutually assured destruction only works when both sides want to live. Iran's regime, they believe in martyrdom. President Trump understood what Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Biden refused to accept. You cannot let fanatics get the bomb, period. And now straight from U.S. Central Command, the proof that we are winning. Their Navy isn't sailing. Their aircraft aren't flying. Their air defense systems are destroyed. 5 weeks, that's all it took. 5 weeks of American military precision and Iran's ability to threaten the world has been neutralized. That is what happens when you have a commander-in-chief who means business. So let's put all of this together, because what we're witnessing is absolutely historic. Now pay very close attention. See, here's what you just saw. For half a century, presidents talked while Iran built. They negotiated while Iran cheated. They sent cash while Iran armed terrorists. And they let religious fanatics get this close to a nuclear weapon. President Trump, in just 32 days, has done what nobody else would do. Their missiles gone, Navy destroyed, air defenses eliminated, their nuclear dreams are over. This isn't just a military victory. It's a message to every dictator, every terrorist, every enemy of freedom on this planet. America has a leader who doesn't bluff. America has a leader who actually acts. So what you're watching unfold is the most decisive American military action since the war on terror began. And you're not hearing the full story from the mainstream media because they can't stand giving President Trump credit for anything. And that's why your support matters. Share this video with everybody who needs to see the truth. And drop a comment below and tell me, do you think this will finally bring lasting peace to the Middle East? Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, because we are covering this story every single day. The world is watching. History is being made. And America, thanks to President Donald Trump, is leading from the front. I'm Gary Franchi at the White House. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and as always, stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this. Share this now.